Hi, this is Greg. Welcome to the channel. On this episode, we are going to be talking about Moderna's secret weapon and how Moderna's stock price could 2x from here. That's right, it could double with just a simple analysis, going through some simple numbers. And I'm going to show you how, with the simple projections that the company is giving beyond COVID, that the stock could double, and even with the stock doubling, you could get the personalized cancer vaccine for free. Yes, there's tremendous opportunity in this stock, and we're going to be talking about it right now. But before I go on to that, let me just say that on this channel, we talk about markets and investment. And if you're interested in becoming a better investor, learning more about the markets and more about investing, so you can become a vastly richer investor, you've come to the right place. And what I would love you to do is subscribe and hit the bell so you can be noticed for future videos so you won't miss a single one. Okay, so on this channel, I produced a number of Moderna videos going back to where I recommended it at 124 last March. And since then, it's gone up to currently at $3.50 a share. It went as high as $4.85 a share. But I continue to be very bullish on the stock, and I continue to believe that the stock and the company has a very brilliant future. One of the things I've talked extensively about in my various videos is something that the company is working on, which I believe is revolutionary in the treatment of cancer, and that is their personalized cancer vaccine. This personalized cancer vaccine gives medical professionals the ability to individually personalize the cancer treatment of each person by mapping out their genetic material and then mapping out the mutations associated with the cancer. This isolates each individual person's cancer, and then what they do is they produce a vaccine which then instructs the body's immunological system to attack the person's individualized cancer cells. This is absolutely amazing, and it bodes very well for the future of the company beyond COVID. Okay, so to start things off, what I want to do is I want to play you a short video which describes the personalized cancer vaccine and the benefits to the patient, and then I'll come back and I'm going to go through some math with you that's going to show how the stock doubles from here, and a very surprising revelation at the end, which you want to be sure to see to get the full picture of what's going on here. Okay, so check this out right now.
Every patient's cancer is unique. This is one of the reasons why the same medicine given to patients with the same type of cancer, such as melanoma or lung cancer, may work for some patients, but not for all. At Moderna, we are pioneering a new frontier in the fight against cancer, making one medicine for one patient. Each patient's investigational medicine, called a personalized cancer vaccine, is based on the uniqueness of that patient's cancer and is given only to that patient. By developing and providing each patient with a custom-made investigational medicine, we believe we can help many more patients respond to treatment.
Cancer cells have mutations in their DNA that make them look different from a patient's normal cells. Each patient's cancer has a different set of mutations. Think of it like a fingerprint or a facial recognition scan. The first step in making a personalized cancer vaccine is to identify these patient-specific mutations. To do this, we simultaneously sequence DNA from the patient's blood, which is normal and not mutated, and DNA from the patient's tumor. Using powerful cloud-based computing, we compare the two to identify the patient's unique set of mutations. We then use special software programs we've developed at Moderna to predict up to 34 mutations that we believe will help the patient's immune system launch the strongest attack.
Next, we create instructions that encode for each of these mutations. We load all of these instructions onto a single molecule of messenger RNA, or mRNA, and this is what makes up the patient's personalized cancer vaccine. Currently, each personalized cancer vaccine includes instructions for up to 34 mutations. We may add even more instructions in the future. Once the vaccine is injected into the patient, the instructions carried on the mRNA tell the cells in the body to express portions of the proteins on their surface that look like the mutations. These protein fragments should train the patient's immune system to better recognize the mutations on the cancer cells as foreign invaders, and then attack and destroy those cells.
We have designed and built custom automation and robotics, and now manufacture each individual vaccine for patients in our studies at our personalized vaccine unit, which is part of our Norwood, Massachusetts clinical development manufacturing site. We took some of the processes we developed to manufacture big batches of the same mRNA medicine and shrunk them to create a process to make one investigational medicine for one patient. Once the vaccine is made, we ship it to a clinical trial site where a healthcare professional administers it to the patient. Our goal is to make each personalized cancer vaccine and deliver it in just a few weeks.
We expect our personalized cancer vaccines will be most effective when given in combination with other cancer medicines that also work with the immune system, such as checkpoint inhibitors. With our strategic collaborator Merck, a leader in immuno-oncology, we have teamed up to evaluate this combination in ongoing clinical trials. At Moderna, we believe that developing and providing patients with mRNA-based personalized cancer vaccines will bring us much closer to the goal of helping cure more patients of their cancer.
Okay, so that's quite amazing, right? And when I first saw this off the company's website, I was completely blown away. But what we're interested in is how can this affect the stock price, and what is a simple analysis to determine what would have to happen at the company and what types of sales would they have to achieve for the stock to double from here. I've done a simple analysis and I'm just going to walk you through. I took available information that I could find both from the company and also from various reports that I saw. So look, these numbers obviously are not exact. I'm projecting into the future. These projections may or may not happen, but I think you'll get the gist of it, and it's a very interesting analysis. Okay, so check it out. All right, so the current market cap of the company is $141 billion as of the date of this video. In order for the stock to double in value, just using simple math, the market cap would have to go to $282 billion, right? The current sales of the company are estimated at between $20 and $29 billion. We won't know to the end of this year, 2021, what the actual sales will come in at, but for the purposes of this analysis, I'm going to use the more conservative number of $20 billion. Now, at a $20 billion sales figure, the current market cap is set at 7 times sales, okay? Now, if you look at the industry average for biotech companies, the industry average is a little bit higher than that at 8 times, okay? So I'm going to use the industry average for the purposes of these calculations. In order to 2x from here, the company would have to make an additional $17.62 billion in sales at that 8 times multiple to achieve the 2x number. So that would be a total of around $37 billion. According to the best estimates that I can come up with at this point in time, the COVID vaccine will probably end up producing $25 billion. There's probably going to be boosters every year from now on. So let's call the COVID revenues $25 billion. The most near-term vaccine that they have in development, which is the closest to commercialization, is the cytomegalovirus vaccine, otherwise known as CMV. The company's estimate of sales from the cytomegalovirus is approximately $5 billion. Okay, so we'll tack that on there. Then right behind that, they're working on a flu vaccine. The flu market is estimated to be about $5 billion. So by using this mRNA technology, which will revolutionize the flu vaccine, let's assume, and this might be optimistic, but let's assume that they get 50% of the market. Okay, so that would equate to another $2.5 billion, right? So if you add that all up, we're up to $32.5 billion in projected sales, okay? Now, according to what I said before, if you need $37 billion to 2x the value of the shares, you need another $4.5 billion to get there. And keep in mind, the company has 33 additional meds and vaccines in development. That means they're in either phase 1 to phase 3 trials. Phase 3 is right before commercialization. So continuing on with the analysis, let's get to the personalized cancer vaccine. All right. The numbers that I have been able to attain, the cancer market, in other words, the spending on medication to treat cancer, is a $157 billion market. Moderna would only have to capture $4.5 billion of that market to double the value of the stock. So let's flip it around a little bit, and here's the way I look at it. Let's flip it around a bit, and let's just say that giving an extremely conservative valuation to the remaining 33 vaccines and meds that they have in development. Let's say that all of those 33, let's assume that all of that is worth $4.5 billion in sales. Now, I think that is extremely conservative, but let's just assume that, okay? So if you assume that, you can see that you could double the value of this stock and essentially get the personalized cancer vaccine for free. Now, just as another aside, I decided to do a different analysis, so check this out. Let's say that nothing else happens besides the COVID vaccine, and they are able to commercialize this personalized cancer vaccine, okay? Just to isolate the personalized cancer vaccine for a minute, all right? I said before that the total market for cancer treatment is $157 billion, right? Now this personalized cancer vaccine, they're developing it with Merck, so they get 50% of the revenues as pursuant to the joint venture. So let's say, and again, I'm just making these numbers up, but this is just to give you an order of magnitude idea of what we're talking about here. Let's say that the personalized cancer vaccine is a tremendous success, and let's say they capture 30% of that market. So 30% of 157 billion is $47 billion, right? They split that with Merck. Their share is 23.5 billion, right? That 23.5 billion with an 8 times multiple is worth $188 billion of market cap, right? Just from that one drug, the personalized cancer vaccine. So let's convert that into share value, right? So 188 billion of market cap, there's 43 million shares outstanding, right? So that $188 billion of market cap in terms of share price would indicate an increase in the share price of $466, right? Which would basically double the price. So if you gave no value to the near-term drugs that are due to be commercialized and just did some math, and you can change that 30% to any percent of the market you want to pick, higher or lower, whatever. I'm just doing this to make a point. If you pick 30% of the market, the stock could double, giving no value to the other drugs. I don't know about you, but this is completely remarkable, and it's why I'm so excited about Moderna. Moderna is not only a great investment in my view, but is also contributing to the welfare of humanity. What could be better? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. If you are interested in increasing your knowledge on investing and to become a better and richer investor, please stay tuned to this channel, and the only way for you to do that is to subscribe, like, and hit the bell so that you get notified in future videos which will be coming your way very soon.